Turn my thing on. Pōmārie, everybody, and welcome to our first Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board meeting of 2026. Awesome to see a lovely lineup of people to come to speak to at our, at our public forum, and a very warm welcome to our very, very busy Mayor Mike. So great to have you here, Mike. And other staff members, the community advisors, Gina and Julie, thank you for coming along tonight, and anybody else online. So welcome everybody. We have got one apology from member Titchener to be received. So can I have someone to second that for me? John, thank you. All in favour? Carried. Right, on to disclosures of members' interests. Has anyone got anything that is a conflict tonight that they need to? Oh my gosh, oops. God, flying into it and I forgot the karakia. So sorry. Dale Marie, would you please like to take our karakia? So this is Councillor Morgan. Thank you. Sorry about that, just suddenly flapping around.
Tino pai, Chair. I know you're a busy lady and you were just ready to crack in there. So I'll kick us off. Tākina te marama kia tātou, tākina te aroha kia tātou, tākina te rangimārie kia tātou, ko pirungia me te kawa, ko maunga tautiri, ko kake puku ngā maunga, ko waikato, ko waipa, ngā awa, tihei mauri ora.
Thank you, Dale Marie, and yes, aroha mai for that oversight. It's in great big black bold writing and I launch into the apologies. So, yeah. Okay, so we will now move on to the public forum. And first up, I'm going to invite Mayor Mike to give us a quick update. So, Mike, you get the hot seat up the top there. Oh, crikey.
Thank you, Chair Ange, and fellow councillors, community board members and councillors and everyone else here tonight. So look, hey, I'll just give a brief update as I did at the Cambridge Community Board meeting, I think it was last week, of just where we're at with the state of emergency. So the state of emergency was extended. It does go through to this weekend, and that will be reviewed before the weekend, just to give the community an update there. So that'll be updated in the next probably couple of days at least. So where we're sort of at is, again, it's a huge thank you to all the staff and contractors that sort of have worked really quickly, and I think the feedback around the community has reinforced that they've seen people in action and things trying to be remedied as quickly as possible. So that's happened really by the equipment and the men and women out there actually on the ground getting things done. The EOC, or the Emergency Organisation Centre, is set up in Otorohanga. And so we've got a number of staff from all over the Waikato actually working down there and supporting that. And that's sort of where operations or headquarters is really out of. And we have a sort of subset of that working out of our Roach Street office across the road here with our staff also supporting that. So a lot of the roads have been opened. I think we still have a couple of roads not opened, and there are still some bridges out of action, and look, I can't give timeframes on the bridges. So that will be really through NZTA and through where the damage is, that those councils will give updates through their own websites. But what I can tell you is things are trying to be remedied as quickly as possible, and a lot of the roads and washouts and that sort of thing, temporary measures have been put in place. If we take so Whātauri Road, those folks down south there, have got sort of full access through a Bailey's Bridge that's been built, including tanker access. So they're sort of back on their feet. The Manati Bridge there, or that area there, that's not in our region. That's a significant damage. So that's sort of definitely a longer term fix. Then we've got the Corcoran Road area there. So that, look, they're fixing it as quick as they can, but it's significant damage up in that culvert and the sort of causeway effectively of getting across through there. So again, some temporary measures have been put in there for folks to get across some paddocks and to rejoin Corcoran Road. They're definitely not perfect. They are sort of four-wheel drive, so we understand the need there to remedy that as quick as possible, but it is a fairly complex site. And of course, you know, having State Highway 39 out is definitely affecting, in fact, traffic everywhere really. It's not just a lack of traffic through Prolongia, it's increasing traffic flow through other areas. And when you're out on the road, you can sort of see and feel that. The Te Tahi Ware Reservoir, I mean, nothing's been really done apart from emptying the storage pond or storage reservoir up there because that had infrastructure damage. So that was made safe. That was sort of towards middle of last week. The infrastructure, there will have to be some decisions around that. But in terms of the water feed to Prolongia, the physical work has been done, but before we actually allow that water to be, that potable water to go back into the Prolongia system, we just have to make sure that it is safe to actually drink. So it's sort of going through some testing stages now. We've still got a few farms out there in the areas that, I think it's about 3 farms that are still having to spill milk, unfortunately, and that's just trying to get that tanker access in. And look, and we've got a lot of farmers and community who have got together over the last sort of 8 or 10 days and done a lot of stuff for themselves. So look, a huge hats off to you folk who have got in and tried to, as best you can, to sort out your own raceways, access points, tanker tracks, and got on where you can. So I know there's been a lot of community support of community. The Mayoral Relief Fund was stood up, and so we had a first meeting yesterday, and there was 7 applications for that, and they were being processed. I think I just talked to the financial officer only a few minutes ago, actually, and they're being processed today or maybe tomorrow, actually, over the next couple of days. Just need a little bit more information from some of those. So we've adapted those forms, I think, slightly just to give us better information so we can make quicker decisions. So thank you to those people that have applied, and just, if you know people that need help and support that's not going to be covered by insurance, that's what that fund is there for. It's not a massive fund, but it is there to help and assist. Anything else? No, I think that's probably, about it. So look, again, thanks for your patience. It was a 1 in 250 year weather event. And so, hopefully one doesn't happen in our lifetime again, but you sort of can't beat nature. So I think we understand that as well. So thank you folks, and thank you for your time for a few words.
Thanks, Mayor Mike. We really appreciate that because we do know how very busy you are. So thank you again for coming along and giving us that update. I understand all of the staff are going pretty hard and all working very hard in the EOC and getting all of the logistics sorted out. So really appreciate all that mahi that everybody's doing. Right, we will continue with the public forum, and then please don't let me forget, for the second time, we need to do the disclosures of members' interests before we move into the main part of our meeting. So I'd like to invite Rory Laidlaw from the Kihikihi residents and ratepayers to talk to us about the Kihikihi Community Hub and the Kihikihi Heritage Trail. So Rory, if you'd like to hop up in the hot seat and push the wee button so it goes green, the floor is yours for 5 minutes.
Green for go. Right. Hello. Well, I'm Rory Laidlaw, and I'm the treasurer of the Kihikihi Residents and Ratepayers Group. And I want to say thanks to Ange and the other members for having me along here tonight. I just want to mention a couple of things so you're aware of them. The first thing is that Kiki has, for the last couple of years been promoting the idea of a Kihikihi community hub. And we actually had a consultant, Craig Jones, came down from Visitor Solution with Gina, and he consulted with various groups in Kihikihi, including our group, to talk about what we felt were the needs of a community hub in Kihikihi. And I want to say thanks to Jill too, because she's supported this all the way along. It's been appreciated. And so we had a couple of meetings in Kihikihi, and we listed quite a number of things that we felt a community hub could provide in Kihikihi. And we were waiting for the report to come out, and the report just kept on getting put off, and it didn't arrive. And then eventually on October last year, because the first meeting you had with Craig Jones, it was in 2024, October last year, we did actually get a summary. And when we read through the summary of the feasibility report, it left out all the various things that we felt left out all the services and so on that we felt a community hub in Kihikihi could provide. So in some ways, the summary wasn't a very useful document from that point of view, because there was nothing specific to talk about. And we sent a message to poor old Mike in the middle of all the weather events to make sure that he was up to date with where we were at with that. And so in spite of his busy schedule, he's managed to squeeze us in somewhere. So we're looking forward to getting a report about that. So this is just really to make sure you're aware of what's going on. The second thing, and the shortest one, is Kihikihi has a heritage trail. I'm sure you all know about it. It's got about 17 sites on it, and it was generated quite a long time ago by Max Quirk, and I think it was either the Rotary Group or the Lions Group. And when the Kihikihi Residents and Ratepayers came along, they kind of took over the publicisation of the tour. And so we've created a coloured brochure for that, which is held at Eyesight. And but lately, a lot of the signs around the Kihikihi Heritage Trail a couple of them have gone missing, some of them are damaged and illegible, and some need to be shifted because they're in the wrong place. So I've done a survey of that, and I'm going to submit it to the council at some stage with the community board's help and see if we can get some action on that, but that's in the future. So,
Thanks, Rory. So has anyone got any questions for Rory? Dane?
Hi, Rory. Thanks for that. I remember writing the story about the heritage signs.
Oh, yes.
It was a long time ago. Do you know if it was part of the sort of Heritage Trail New Zealand network, or was it?
No, this is separate from anything nationwide.
Yep.
It's just a purely local thing that I think the local Rotary group generated. I'm not quite sure when it.
Yeah, I know. Well, Awamutu did the same thing when we had a historical society, but I think from memory they followed a pattern that was a sort of a nationwide type.
Yeah.
My second question is, do you know if the Kihikihi Trail has been reviewed by our heritage staff here at all? Have you heard anything? Because they're doing
it. As far as I know, no.
Doing the Awamutu one presently.
The Temple Cottage people might have a better idea of that part of it. because I'm pretty sure they were instrumental in upgrading the signs being part of that.
Who was that? Sorry, Ange?
The committee at the Temple Cottage.
Oh, right. Yes, yes.
Because we did a open day, we had a Kiki fun day not long after a whole lot of them had been replaced and updated.
Oh, yeah.
So they had, and there was an original old Kihikihi heritage trail that used to be available, and most of those have
Yes,
followed the
It
same.
is, the
pattern.
current one is available there as well. Yeah,
Yep.
I know the ladies up at the Temple Cottage. Yeah, so maybe I need to go up there and have a talk.
I guess my point is we don't want to have 2 or 3 different groups working on the same project.
No.
And probably unless you've got an issue with the group that wants to do it and pay for it and look after them, it might be something that
Are
someone might
you
expect.
talking money, Dean?
Money.
Money?
It might be something that you might expect council would bring into their, heritage portfolio, in which case we'd have to obviously look at it and see what it costs and how it would all be brought together. That's all. But yeah.
Yeah. I think the best thing to do would be from maybe somebody from the community board or maybe the Temple Cottage to go around with me and have a look at the things and come to a collective decision. Hey, Jill.
Shane?
Really appreciate you being here to keep us up to date, because that's exactly what we need. When you talk about the Kihikihi hub, I'm assuming you're meaning the Alpha Hotel?
Not necessarily.
No?
Because there are issues with Alpha. It's just the general concept of a community hub in Kihikihi. And so listing all the things that we thought a hub could provide. But the Alpha certainly is an attractive proposition because it's already partially renovated and it's got heritage status as well. And it's right smack in the middle of Kiki Village. And if it was tidied up and done up as a community hub, it would look terrific. But there are issues.
Hey Rory, my name's Liam. I live in Kihikihi.
Oh yeah, right.
Just 2 questions about the hub. When I hear community hub, I don't really know what that means. So maybe if you could just explain what activities might happen there.
Ooh.
And then second question, apart from the Alpha, where else might it go? Like the options?
Say that again, sorry, that bit?
Apart from the Alpha Hotel, where are the other options for where it might go in Kihikihi?
Well, as far as I think I'm probably fairly right to say that there aren't any other buildings in Kihikihi that could fulfill that function. The only other public building we've got really is the town hall, and that's what it is. It's a town hall and it doesn't have any other spaces in it, whereas the Alpha has quite a multitude of different spaces and different sizes in it. Yeah, so I think a hub has to have rooms in it that can fulfill a whole variety of functions.
Can I just say, Liam, that, sorry, so when we had a meeting, and I'm quite happy to pass the minutes of that meeting on to anybody here, we listed about 20 different things that the people in Kihikihi would like to see in their town. And the idea was to do that in a hub would be great, but it was just what do we need that hub for? And what would we like for? So yes, at the moment there was the Alpha and not sure where else, but it was just feasibility study being done on what in Kihikihi they would like it to be used for. And that's just where it started. And yes, the Alpha is one building. The council didn't have any buildings at this stage that were available, but it's been going on over 10 years with people wanting it, and I believe, and it's just the people of Kihikihi would just like it to happen not too far away.
Yeah. It's been a long time coming, I think. Mm.
Okay, thanks, Rory. And
Thank you,
thank
Ange.
you also for this bit of extra information. So I'll make sure everybody gets a copy of what you gave me as well, because that will help
Compulsory.
answer Liam's things
Yeah,
too.
it's compulsory reading
Compulsory reading.
and it will be tested.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's the school teacher coming out in him. Okay, thanks, Rory, very much for coming along this evening. Okay, so next up, we've got Paula Walsh, who would like to have a chat to us about the increase in graffiti that we've seen around town of late. So thanks, Paula, and welcome. And it's all yours once you push the little button so it goes green.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm Paula Walsh, and I just want to start by saying I came to a meeting here about 5 years ago, and at that meeting, Ange, you may remember, I talked about Te Awamutu and the look of the main street and the fact that it was sort of time that Te Awamutu had a bit of a facelift. And I'm here 5 years later, and I have to say I think things have got worse. And that's what's bringing me here today, and I'm talking about the tagging. So last year, one of the first main parts of tagging that I tried to address is on the Postie Plus building in town, and you can see it quite clearly because it's as you come up to that roundabout. I've been in contact with Postie Plus head office for a year, talking about that graffiti. I think they're highly sick of me. I went into the shop today and asked to speak to the manager, and when I said, I'm Paula, she went, oh. So they're a bit sick of me, but what I was trying to do with them is to give them some solutions to the graffiti that they've got there. And this, one of the solutions I had was that they could do a mural, and that there are lots of ways that that could be done. So the woman in the Postie Plus said it's with head office, and they're dealing with it with the landlord. I don't know what's going on because, as I said, it's been a year that I've been in contact with them. So that's that bit of graffiti. And then over the last, I'd probably say 2 months, there's been a particular person who's been everywhere, and he goes by the name of Bone. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it's a lot of his tagging. One day I was out for a walk and I came across a tag him on the chemist just over that way, and I took a photo of it. And as I was just taking a photo, a police car drove up, and they said, oh, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm taking a photo of this graffiti because I'm trying to catalogue all the graffiti that I'm seeing everywhere. And they said, oh, good on you. And we had a bit of a chat, and off they drove. So I've been getting a bit hot under the collar about it. I wrote a letter to the TA News, which they very kindly published. And then Shane, who happens to be my husband, was speaking to Dale Marie, and she said, gosh, there's a lot of tagging around in Te Awamutu at the moment. And then Dale Marie and I have got together, and we're both very active with getting something done. I've been in contact with a lot of people. There's a great amount of support in the community to help, both with creating a tagging busters group. And then I know that there are like Mitre 10, Resine and places like that who would be happy to provide paint and various other equipment that we need. Harriet from the Eyesight is happy for us to use the virtual pavilion, maybe at a cost, but she's also very keen to be on board. I think the thing with graffiti and tagging, as I said in the letter that I wrote to the TA News, is that it just really, it looks so bad, and it gives a very negative feeling to the town. It looks dirty. It feels like the town is unloved and uncared for. And I know that we don't want that for Te Awamutu. So it kind of brings me back to when I came back 5 years ago. You know, we need to sort of really get on top of this, and we can get on top of the tagging, I think, fairly rapidly. And then hopefully, as a result of the new councillors that we've got, we're going to create or recreate the Keep Te Awamutu beautiful community of people. And I think the tagging team would be under that umbrella, as well as I know there's a number of people who go out and do picking up rubbish. So that's something else that I've started looking at. I contacted Keep New Zealand Beautiful, that's a big organisation, and they will provide us with high-vis vests and various other bits and pieces. So, and give us, I think, a bit of a model that we could work with. So, yes, so just letting you know, and I think that Dale Marie and I and various other people are, we're Action. That's our middle name, Action. So that's what we hope to see in the next couple of weeks, Dale Marie? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Paula. You've bolted before we can have any questions, but I just wanted to say, have you been in contact with the retailers to see if there's any of them that would get on board? Because just very quickly, one that irks the heck out of me is the great big one that has been there for weeks and weeks on the old courier building. And it's sort of like...
Okay, I can sort of address that because I have been in contact with some of the business owners.
Yep.
Most of them say
they don't own the building.
They don't own the building, and the landlord doesn't care. And I've even and there's also, and Dale Marie and I were just talking about it, there's a bit of an apathy in the business owners. Okay. So which is a real shame. And I just think they think the landlord should do it. The landlord probably thinks the business people should do it. No one wants to actually take responsibility.
Okay.
And can I just add one thing? I got hold of Chris Graham. He's from the Awamutu Boxing Academy. His brother, Billy Graham, in Wellington, Nainai area, they had really bad tagging there. And Billy Graham made it his mission in life to get rid of it. And so it can be done, but I think it's not going to be done by necessarily the business owners and the landlords. So it seems that they just want to not worry about it.
Do it. Okay, no, thanks for that, Paula.
It's okay.
Did anyone have any quick questions for Paula? No,
I thank you, Dean.
Comment.
So we've addressed this in the past, but quite a long time ago. So we had when I was on the community board, we had a community group based out of the community board or out of council that looked after some of the problem, and then we had Keep Tiamutu Beautiful at the time, and then a subcommittee of the community board that did the same job. They moved into that looked after the public buildings. So that was the issue. So the council looked after their own property.
Yes.
And sort of provided support. And the police were involved, and they were, through Richard Harold, who was a community constable and on the community board, was they were identifying the tagging and sort of addressing it from that point of view. So we had that register. So if you can get the police, if they have a community officer anymore, I have no idea. Yeah, cool. And then your public group can look after the other side of things. And we found the same problem though with the building owners. So it was just done. So we didn't ask permission. It was just like they've tagged this building, and then your group, when you get it together, would go and do those buildings. Council would look after their own, and then eventually we'd try and wear these guys down.
Yes.
So Bones is in Otrahonga as well, is he not?
I believe so.
Yeah. So yeah.
The Billy Graham in Nainai, one of his missions was if the tagging was there, say that it was discovered in the morning, it would be gone by the night.
Yeah.
And Dale Marie also was telling me about a course that you did at university, and the only way to get rid of it is to get rid of it quickly. Yes. And you, as you say, wear them down.
Yeah, get rid of it, wear it down, because they want it to be seen. So
you're giving them notoriety by leaving it up.
Thanks, Paula.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, madam. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your passion. It's appreciated. I think you should mention the fact that there's a meeting coming up at the eyesight to discuss this, and any people that you know or we know around the table that may be interested in this particular subject should come to this meeting. And can you just remind me when and what time it is, please?
We haven't got an actual day yet.
Okay.
But Dale Marie and I will sort that out in the next couple of days.
Okay, well, if you could let us know.
Let you know.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely, because there will be people. Thanks, Paula. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to dovetail into another graffiti problem, and I'd like to welcome Waka Gray from the Māori Women's Welfare League, because they have been having a bit of trouble as well. So if Waka and Dale Marie could just let us know about what's going on out at Kihikihi, that would be great. Thank you. Kia ora.
And then I can explain what we're going to do. Yeah.
Recently we had our building painted, so we were very lucky that that didn't get touched. But the fencing, fencing around the whare itself, where our gardens are, that was actually graffiti quite badly, and it was quite big, a lot of it. So lucky Dale came out and sorted it for us, but it was just unbelievable that we were there the day before and that night it happened, and then the next day everybody was going off about this graffiti on our fencing around the whare. So, yeah, it was just, yeah, we were just not happy.
Don't blame you, because I actually saw it and it was very tricky to get rid of, because just to explain, it was on their windbreak netting, and they'd pretty much done huge right across all down Leslie Street on all the windbreak.
Yeah.
So I believe Dale Marie cleaned it off. So it was a huge mission. So thank you.
I got to just correct that a wee bit. It was council that did the cleaning. It was me that sprayed out the profanities with green, because the screen was green. But I took the notoriety out quickly, as fast as we could.
Can I say something? With Dale, we actually learned a lot about graffiti, which we never even knew before. So it was quite interesting to listen to her and have her explain it to us. And we were just in awe of what she had to tell us.
So yeah, just a little bit of research at the university is what we did. And we did determine, like it is, the research is out there, the faster we get rid of it, the less likely it's going to come back. So I've got a mihi to the league, because, you know, if anything happens out there and you go and help them, they feed you, you get the fattest scones, and you don't get those kind of scones like you get at the league. So I've got a mihi to my whānau out there, and to Auntie Rosemary and them. So, and to dovetail on that, what's going to happen from there is that I've encouraged the league to put in an application to the CNZ to look at doing a community mural on the screen to try and deter people coming along and doing anything. So I sat with the league last week. They've got a mock application form, and we're looking at possibly putting something in. Now I am mindful that tagging was 5 minutes. So Auntie, do you have anything else to add in the tagging part?
No, not at this
Awesome.
stage.
So just checking that there's 5 minutes just for that, and then 5 minutes for the next one.
I haven't pushed my green button. If everybody's happy or not happy, but have you got any other questions around the graffiti? Jill?
Just thank you to everyone for bringing this to all our attention, and that we're all going to start doing something. And so, Dale Marie, yeah, just flick us an email when the meeting will be, and I'd love to be there and tell you what happened in my last town that worked as well. Thank you.
Just to add, at Ngāroa Wahia, we have a tag buster crew, which has only just been created in the last 7-8 months. It was initiated by Meg Daly of Harcourts, and it was Harcourts that bought the paint, and it's Harcourts that are keeping that resource. And it's with religious rangatahi groups and whānau like that are our group that are out there. So that's why there's a long list in our emails, Paula, of the groups that we'll be touching base with.
Oh, that sounds great, because as you say, the quicker we can get onto it, they get sick of tagging things that don't last very long, because that is the main reason behind it. And then that minimises the opposition wanting to do their tag to, compensate the first round of tags. So no, that's amazing work. And it is something that we've talked about a little bit in our planning as well. So hopefully, as a community board, we'll be there alongside you to help support you with this, because we want to make town look a whole lot better, and that includes Kihikihi as well. So yeah, keep us informed, and we certainly are keen to support you. Right, Dale Marie, seeing as you are in the hot seat, we will hand over to you. Thank you. And hear
So,
what you've been up to on the
I'm just
Māori
hoping
ward.
that you guys have the electronic copy of He Manu Karere. No. Okay, that's all right. I bought copies. So hopefully there's enough for, and you might have to get governance to get you an extra copy. So the other week at the community board in Cambridge, I talked to Charlotte about possibly giving a He Manu Karere every month at the community board, and making visual your communities, particularly Māori communities, and making them visual here at our board. So planning to give you these 1 pages once a month to keep these communities visual, especially on the back of losing our Māori ward role after this triennium. So there's only a couple of things I want to highlight in here. He Mamai Aroha, Robin Waitangi Nightingale, who was a huge member of our community here in Te Awamutu and Kihikihi. She was a massive po for Parawera Marae, and she was a very influential figure at MEIT as well as many other places. Karaitiana Mac Tamatia, another person, a chief from out at Mangatauteri, and also Te Haunakaha Grace. She was a po tikanga for many a school and many a organisation in this district. So just want to mihi to those 3 that have passed away over our summer. And as you can see, I'm not an idle Māori ward, but I've just given you a few things of what I get up to, and that sort of touches on things. But there's one last comment I want to make in my 5 minutes, and that's around the Heritage Trail. So in regards to that Heritage Trail, Rory, please get that together, because I just got a text about an hour ago about considering to look at maybe going into a position in the heritage spaces. So please go and suss that out, bro. And let's go have a conversation next week. Kia ora tātou.
So has anyone got any questions for or comments for Dale Marie? I actually had a couple just in regard to your kōrero here, and I thought some of your suggestions around the tangata whenua, mana whenua, explaining the difference between that and tangata tiriti. What is the difference? Having some learning and understanding. I mean, it's just got, I'm really keen. I hope that other members would be keen for this as well, because it's all about learning. It's all about understanding. And even if we don't necessarily use it, I believe it's beneficial to be able to gain that knowledge. You mentioned that we could go to things like pokai and various events. So how are we best to find out when those are on if we did want to get along to them? I mean, I know I could come to the league and say, hey, but...
There's one coming up on the 9th of March at Parawera.
At Parawera?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to be
And
here.
if you're going to go, you've got to walk on with the Queen. She'll be there at 10 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's best she talks about it, because Parawera, I'll be on the other side, welcoming the people in. And I think for you guys, I would just say, request a meeting with Ngera if you are planning on coming, because he's the best person to give you that advice. Yeah.
Cool.
And in regards to tangata tiriti, tangata whenua, tangata whenua, that's me, because I come from the whenua. I'm a tangata of the whenua. Tangata tiriti is my husband. My husband is first generation Kiwi, and he is tangata tiriti. My grandfather, great-great-grandfather, was William Treglowan Thomas. He was the first mayor of Woolston in Christchurch. He knew that when he got off the Cicero boat in 1883 in Littleton, that it was because of the treaty that he was able to come to Aotearoa. So I know I'm tangata tiriti and I'm tangata whenua, and I'm proud to be both. because it's the treaty that enabled all of us to come and live and reside in this beautiful nation called Aotearoa, New Zealand. So unfortunately, we don't teach you that in our Kiwi history. They only teach us Kiwi and not iwi. So kia ora tātou.
Kia ora, Dale, Marie and Waka, thank you. Right. So we have come around to 22. So Peter, you're still good to go in next month? Is that all right? Yeah. Because we have gone a bit over, so if it's all right, I can, thank you. I'd appreciate that. That'd be great. Much appreciated. Thank you. Yeah. I had the third time. Okay, I'm just going to jump back then to, pardon? Oh, I thought we were waiting. Okay. Peter, we can't wait and do your one next month like what you suggested. It's just I've got way over time. So, yeah. So if that's all right, if we could wait till next time and do yours then. Yep, would that be all right? That'd be really much appreciated. I'd be very grateful for that. Okay, so I'd just like to thank everyone that's come along this evening. We really appreciate your input and hearing what you've got to say. You are very welcome to stay on if you would like. However, I do appreciate you've probably got hungry tummies and places to go and would like to go home and put your feet up. So thank you for coming, really appreciate it. It depends how fast we go, Rory. Okay, so I'm going to just jump back to item 3 because I didn't properly finish that before after I'd managed to forget the karakia. So disclosure of members' interest. Do we have any members with a conflict? Dean?
Shane and I have a conflict on the item about Cambridge connections because you're being presented with information and been asked to have an opinion. We've also been presented with the information at council and we're going to be asked the same questions. So we'll be giving our opinion at the council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if that means we need to sit out part of it, sit it out completely. Yep, good, another cup of coffee.
Has anybody else got anything that they have a conflict around? No, so just Shane, just councillors Walsh and Taylor. Okay, we then move on to item 5, the confirmation of the previous minutes on pages 7 to 11. Let's get my laptop to go. Oh, sorry. So if we can have that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board confirms the minutes of the meeting held 9th December 2025 as circulated with the agenda as a true and correct record of proceedings. Can I have someone to move that was here? Liam, second. Jill, all in favour? Against? Carried. Right, we'll move on to item 6, which is the speed limit changes outside schools. And this is on pages 12 to 19 of our agenda. And, we do have Eric, not Rachel. We have Eric van der Weel to speak to us tonight. We will take our report as read, but Eric, if there's anything you would like to highlight, please feel free to do so. So I will hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and members of the Community Board and the councillors. Can I just have a hand raise if you can hear me fine? Okay, brilliant. Yeah, so that's fine. Yeah, if I can take my report as read, that'll be awesome. And I'm happy to answer any questions that the floor might have.
Okay, so have we got any questions around those things? Dean?
Yeah, hi, Eric. I did a good old Google search to find out what constitutes a school, because I see we've sort of got a level 1 and level 2 around primary and secondary, but it doesn't say anything about kindergartens or early childhood learning centres or kahangareo or the likes. So are they not covered by this piece of legislation that came out a couple of years ago?
through the chair, thank you, Dean. No, there's a definition of school, I think, in whatever the enacting legislation is for schools. So it's definitely not early childhood and any other types of facilities. Yeah, so it's basically the schools that we have listed in the report.
Has anyone else got any? Oh, Dean again.
So my second one is on page 17, where the maps are, and I sent an email. I didn't realise you're on leave. I sent it to EL as well, and they did say they were looking into it, but for the purpose of what we've been looking at, it's my impression that the map for the Waipa Christian School is actually incorrect. So Waipa Christian School started as part of the Bible Chapel facility, but is now on the other side of Chapel Drive, taking up on the map quite a lot of those blocks that we see on the right-hand side of Chapel Drive, and not as part of the chapel itself. And to my mind, because the chapel's often busy throughout the week with a number of functions and funerals and various other things, it can be quite busy, that the speed zone for Waipa Christian School probably should be the whole of Chapel Drive.
Yeah. Thanks, Dean. I got that. Yeah, and through the chair. So Chapel Drive is a tricky one. It's actually a private road. So the trust owns the land either side of the physical road. So what we're going to have to do as part of our engagement with the schools is to work out, do they want that speed limit extended to full length? It's probably a really good idea, but as landowner, they need to confirm that.
Has anyone else got Liam?
Hi, Eric. My name's Liam. Just a couple of questions. I was going to ask about Chapel Drive because I was also confused about that. So thanks, Dean, for asking and for clarifying. In the maps, it says it talks about variable speed limit. Does that mean a reduced speed limit during drop-off and pick-up hours? Just wondered what, and if so, what hours those were.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. And through the chat, that's correct. It's variable. So it gets really complicated really quick because some schools have, like some of the rural schools already have a 60k permanent in front, so they don't need to be made variable. So the intent of the rule is that at school drop-off and pick-up, traffic's driving slowly. And so Category 1 schools are urban schools, and Category 2 schools are rural schools. So urban schools at 30k an hour, and rural schools at 60k an hour. That's the intent, but it gets, yeah, with other speed limits that are already underlying it, you can probably see in some of the maps it gets a little bit more complicated pretty quick.
So sorry, what hours does the 30-kilometer apply? Like,
oh, so the rule has a prescribed maximum range. I think it's 45 minutes, but that's something we've got to engage with the school regarding. So basically, we talk to each school and confirm their pick up and drop off times.
okay, that's helpful. Thanks. I think that was actually all my questions.
I just had one quick comment. I've been dealing with a lady who has been very concerned about the ability for the college children to cross, particularly on Alexandra Street. So I see that that the school pedestrian crossings have been included in being considered, but I just wanted to actually note that as something that has come to the community board's attention. And particularly that Alexandra Street, because I think there's been a couple of kids almost skittled. And so, yeah, to definitely make sure that that is noted and is an area of concern along there.
Yeah, thanks, Edge. That's appreciated and noted.
Okay, well, if there are no further questions, Thank you, Eric. Really appreciate you giving up your time this evening to come and talk to us. And let's move Eric's report. So can I have someone to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receives the report of Eric Vanderweel, Program Engineer Transportation, titled Speed Limit Changes Outside Schools. Shane and Jill, all in favour? Those against? Carried. Awesome, thank you. Right, we now move on to item 7, the Cambridge Connections, which is stage 2.1, developing the transport ideas on pages 20 to 25. I think we've got Rachel there in the corner. Hi, Rachel, welcome.
Kia ora.
So once again, we'll take your report as read, and I'll hand over to you to highlight any points or anything you'd like to bring to our attention before we start asking any questions. Thanks, Rachel.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, can I just have clarification with Joe? We can be in the room if we so desire. We don't need to leave.
No, you can remain.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, cool. Kia ora, and thank you, Madam Chair, and community board members and councillors for having me here tonight to discuss the Cambridge Connections project. Katie Mays, the project lead, is unable to attend tonight's meeting, so I'm standing in for her tonight. I'm a transport planner in the transport team. As you may be aware, Cambridge Connections is a project to identify transport priorities for the short, medium and long term in line with managing growth. We're at an exciting phase of the project of developing the transport ideas, and that involves a community brainstorm of ideas to develop those into shortlist options. Is the next phase. So as part of this phase, we're inviting feedback on the transport ideas, potential solutions for the plan. So we're inviting feedback from the community, and we're currently in that community engagement phase with feedback closing on the 9th of March. And as part of that, we're inviting feedback from the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board. Just to draw your attention to, there are some questions as prompts on page 23, or else the community are welcome to provide feedback on the ideas. So yes, there are those questions on page 23 as a guide, but not necessary to use those if you don't wish to. So just opening up for any questions that people might have.
Okay, team, have we got any questions about the Cambridge Connections? Jill?
Thank you for that. I may have missed something, but it seems to be all about the Cambridge connection, and the Cambridge, it's all about different transport in Cambridge, and that's fine. So where does it fit into Te Awamutu? Are we talking about maybe the buses from Cambridge to Te Awamutu? I'm just wondering where we fit in. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really important question. Obviously, the community boards are really important in terms of engaging with wider communities as well on these types of strategic transport projects or strategic projects. But certainly with Cambridge as being a fast growing town, and connections between the broader connections through the main routes that connect to Te Awamutu, to connect to the wider Hamilton, are really, really important. So we're keen to hear views on those wider strategic transport problems of access to Cambridge, whether that's through bus services, through connecting through main routes, those sort of things as well. So across the wider district.
Anybody else got any questions for Rachel? I haven't really at this point in time. So thanks, Rachel. So we've got a couple of options, and that's that we can come up with some ideas tonight and have a bit of a discussion around anything that we can think of, or alternatively, we delegate the authority to somebody who would like to finalise the feedback. So is there any preference at this point? If it has, have anybody had a chance to talk to anyone? Probably, Rachel, one of the things that we're facing here is that we got our agenda with this information in it on the weekend. So speaking from my own point of view, I was away for the weekend, and then we have a Tuesday night meeting. So it kind of doesn't give us much time to ask around or sort of get any feedback from people that possibly are using that route to go to work, because that was one of the things that stood out to me, is the importance of, how do people travel from Te Awamutu that work in Cambridge? I presume they all go over the high level bridge as opposed to going Tamahere and back and out that other side. So I'm not sure what everybody else is thinking in regard to whether you've got some ideas from what you've read and had some thoughts, or that you go to Cambridge a lot so that you've got some ideas. What's the general feeling of you three at this point in time?
If I go to Cambridge, I go to wherever I'm going. That's it, and then come back again. Other than that, I'm travelling to go to the mount.
So if you go to Cambridge, how do you find using the high level bridge? Would another bridge be better? Would if you did have another bridge, where would you like it to go? How do you find getting through Cambridge?
Yeah.
I could go to Te Awa quicker, once every 2 months. I don't mind the high bridge. Teresa doesn't like it, but I just line up and just take my time and go across. Yep, I've been around doing jobs when I was working. Most of the time I was down through the high bridge because the workshop was down there. But getting around Cambridge, I'm quite happy with the way it is. Now that all the roadworks are finished down Cambridge Road, going out to Te Awa, I'm sick of going like that. The speed bumps. I can understand why. It's a nice road. Now that it's all finished, it looks great. But yeah, the rest, I'm happy going through Cambridge. I've got used to it.
Cool. Thanks, John.
Can I just, Madam Chair, can I just draw attention to those 3 questions in terms of, as the town grows, how can we make it easier for people to get around using different types of transport, and that obviously that includes visitors as well, and people from the rural areas. How can we better manage cars, trucks and freight moving through and around the town? And those are those across town trips, connecting Te Awamutu north, south, as they go through. And what ideas do you have for improving connections across the Waikato River? And there's actually a link there of people, a link there to the if you would like to provide the online feedback, or else you can provide the feedback through the Cambridge Connections email box.
Jill?
Yeah, so for the last year, I go to Cambridge once a week, and for quite a bit of that time I couldn't drive, so it would have been really great to have had a bus that went from Te Awamutu to Cambridge. I also know quite a few other people from Te Awamutu who don't drive, who would love to be able to catch a bus, whether it's not every day, but, once a day or once every second day. Through the chair, and, as you say, we haven't got a lot of time to do something and get people's opinions. I suggest that my suggestion is that maybe we make people aware that they can do their own submissions through our Grapevine page, maybe, rather than the council web page. We could do both or either, just to let people know that there is something. Or I can collate quite a few people that I've spoken to and do a submission or get them to do their own.
I quite like that idea, because I don't go to Cambridge a lot to have a lot of feedback. Liam, do you have anything that stands out for you?
I don't go much, and when I do, it's not in peak time, so I don't really have any issues.
Mm.
I agree with Jill that there should be a bus from TA to Cambridge, and same thing, I can ask around and collate feedback too, to provide.
Okay, so in light of that, I think we're leaning towards the delegating part, and Jill, if you would be happy to take that on and do that, that would be much appreciated. And especially with the fact that you do go over weekly. My thing was those blue dots, but I'm not sure that they're still there. I asked my now 18-year-old a few years ago when he was much younger, and that what do those dots in the road mean? And he went, oh, they'd be cool to play on. So I hope for Cambridge residents' sake that there's not too many more dots in the plan.
No, no, there's no dots in the plan. I think that was the trial you're referring to, the Streets for
it
People
was.
trial. Yeah.
Yep, it was back in the trial days. So as I say, I haven't been back up those streets to know whether they were still there. So, okay. Okay, if we can just bear with us for a moment, we've just got to do a slight modification to our wording, and Joe will pop that up on the screen. Because otherwise I can run this all together, eh? There's no reason why I can't. Well, except I can't read it with my glasses. Okay, so can we have someone to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receives the report of Katie Myers, Executive Director, titled Cambridge Connections, Stage 2.1, Developing the Transport Ideas, and B, delegates authority to Board Member Taylor to prepare and finalise the Community Board's feedback on transport ideas and proposed solutions as part of Stage 2.1 community engagement for the Cambridge Connections Transport Plan in consultation with the Community Board members. So I'm happy to move it.
I just think we need to say J Taylor, saying there's two Taylors.
Oh, yeah, true that. Good catch. Oh, right. So now we've sorted that. I'm happy to move that. John, second. All in favour? Against? Carried. Awesome. Thank you very much, Rachel.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yep. Have a lovely evening.
Yeah, you
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we move to item 8, the proposed plan change 25 for shelter belts and artificial crop protection and support structures on pages 26 to 81. Now, I believe Alice is here. Hi, Alice. Thank you for joining us. We've just got questions. Yes, you may introduce the report. Okay. Yep, fine, because we're late as well. So I'm just going to hand over to Joe first.
Evening, everybody. So the purpose of the paper that you've got in your agenda is for the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board to consider whether it wishes to make a submission on Plan Change 25. You have been involved in the early engagement phases. This is the part where it has gone out to consultation. And so we've got both in your agenda the report that went to council and also the updated section 32 evaluation report that's in the agenda. So that's reports there from governance, but we do have Alice here if you have any questions of a technical nature, and she will be able to answer those if you've got those in deciding on whether you'd like to make a submission or any questions about the documentation.
Comments? Jill?
Hi, Alice. Thank you for being here. Just a question, a very general one, I've read it through and we have talked about it before. If a farm have a house on their property, they still need to get consent from the council. If they get a shelter belt now, did they used to have to get consent from the council, or now they do? Have they always had to get consent?
Through the chair, good evening. The present rules about shelter belts, consent would be required if it was a type of species that could grow higher and mature at a higher height than 6 metres, then yes, it would require consent. What is being proposed through Plan Change 25 is that a shelter belt would, at planting, need to be 4 metres off the boundary and be maintained at a height of 6 metres. If either of those things were not to occur, a resource consent would be required, unless they met the exemptions that are being proposed, such as getting the neighbours' approval to have the shelter belt closer than 4 metres.
Thank you.
Any other questions, technical questions for Alice or? No, okay, so do we want to do a submission? I know we had some input early on where we made a couple of suggestions. I believe Kane had spoken to some of the local people that are impacted by the shelter belts to get a little bit of feedback. At this point, I haven't heard anything further from him that we would need to do a submission on. So depending on how you feel as to whether we actually need to. Liam?
I don't have any feedback to provide in the submission, so you don't have anything to add.
John? Same. Jill? Shane's going like that. Dean, I presume?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be open for submissions to people that are interested and who actually understand the subject, and so that process is happening anyway. So I don't think we need to worry too much about it. And I think that we've got other priorities that we should be focusing on anyway.
And that was my leaning as well. Okay, so let's receive the report, and we've agreed that for B that we don't make a submission. So can I please have someone to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board A receives the report of Joe Greed, Manager Governance, titled Proposed Plan Change 25, Shelter Belts and Artificial Crop Protection and Support Structures Submission, and B does not make a submission to the Proposed Plan Change 25, Shelter Belts and Artificial Crop Protection and Support Structures. Bit of a tongue twister. Liam, thank you. Someone to second that, please. John, all in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment that submissions have actually closed on the 20th, but if we did need to do a submission, we could have put a late one in, but they have closed, yeah.
Yeah, no, that was, that had been previously agreed, which enabled it to go in our agenda. So, right, item 9. We've got Melissa probably floating around, have we?
She was just there.
Okay, so item 9 is the 2027-37 long-term plan overview and community board engagement, and this was on pages 82 to 94 of our agenda. So, there's Melissa. Hi, Melissa. Welcome. Lovely to have you. We will take your report as read, but if you've got anything you would like to highlight before we have any questions, that would be awesome. So it's all yours.
Thank you. Can I just check that you can hear me okay? Perfect. Awesome. So we'll just run through the report because this is the first time we're coming to the board with respect to the long-term plan. There are some obviously familiar faces around the table, but I just want to kind of lay those foundations in terms of the information and what we're kind of doing with this project and with this report. So as the report kind of sets out, we are in the early stages of developing the 27-37 long-term plan. And this is quite a long process, and we're looking to adopt it in June next year. If it feels like we've sort of just adopted a long-term plan, don't be mistaken. They are a 10-year plan, but we do review them every 3 years. This year's a little bit of an exception. Obviously, we've kind of had a bit of a funny process of late. So we developed the 24-34 long-term plan, pressed pause on that to develop the enhanced annual plan for 1 year, and then we went on to develop the 25-34 long-term plan. And so now we're kind of getting back into the cycle to develop the 27-37 long-term plan. So it is a key strategic planning document for council, but also for the community. So it sets out all of the services that council provides to the community. It also includes budget provision for any projects that council looks to develop or kind of deliver over the 10-year period. It also sets out what they're going to cost, both with respect to the projects and the activities or the services that council provides, and how they'll be funded. It also includes information relating to council's rates, debt levels, a little bit around fees and charges. So things like dog registration, as an example, that's kind of wrapped up as part of this process. So all things financial. You will notice attached to the report, I think it's Appendix 1, is what we're calling the roadmap, the long-term plan roadmap. So how I would describe this is a stylized version of the process and kind of high-level timeframes that we will go through to develop the long-term plan. And I just point you to this because it sets out kind of the 6 stages, but also on the second page of it has some considerations. So it kind of prompts, asks some questions and prompts some thinking about what we're looking to achieve in each stage, and then the output. So it's just to try and help give you as the board a little bit of an understanding about kind of how we go through developing a long-term plan, because it is quite a big project. So as I kind of touched on at the start, this is the first touch point with the board with respect to this long-term plan. And if you wish, we'll look to have this as a standing item. So as we work through developing the long-term plan, we'll come to you with regular updates and kind of seek your feedback as we go through the process, or help you kind of stay connected to the project, both for your information and then obviously when you're out connecting with people in our community, it just helps with those conversations. In addition to that, Ange, as the chair, you'll be invited to all kind of open workshops with elected members. As you'll be familiar, we have quite a lot of those as we go through the process. So you'll be invited to attend those as well. I think that was everything that I wanted to say, so happy to take questions.
Okay, so has anyone got any questions at this stage for Melissa? Liam?
Hi, Melissa. Thanks for coming to speak to us. Just about the open workshops you mentioned that the chair will be invited to. Are those workshops with just councillors? They're not sort of public workshops where anyone can attend. Is that what you mean?
The workshops are live streams, so you can access them, but the purpose is to really enable elected members to have discussion, provide some feedback to staff on any kind of given matter. Obviously, we've got quite a lot to work through, and there's lots of kind of feedback points, and so we do that through a series of workshops throughout the process. And so yes, they're predominantly with elected members, mayor and councillors, and then we invite the 2 community board chairs to attend those as well.
Thanks. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you meant like open, like anyone can attend, or if it's open like councillors and live streamed. So I was just checking that. Thanks.
Anyone else got any questions for Melissa? I've got a wee request if no one's got any questions. I thought that report was awesome. I love the those roadmaps and stuff. I thought that really clearly laid out everything. So I was wondering, are we allowed those in our diligent resources to be able to use as a reference? So that if we kind of go, oh, I can't remember, rather than trying to remember
Absolutely.
which agenda they were in, that would
Yep.
be awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
They were amazing. Thank you so much. That it was nice and clear and
While we're on the attachments, you may have also seen attached to the report there is a glossary. So we appreciate that in local government, and particularly with respect to the long-term plan, we do tend to speak a bit of a different language. And so there is attached a glossary just to help, again, when we're talking about these things. I'll try not to use too many acronyms. But yeah, it's just a kind of a reference document.
yeah, no, I did spot those. I thought, yes, that's handy when you can't remember what they are. I also had one other question, which is me being probably a bit of a stuck record. So once the community board has got their strategic plan sorted out, and if we're wanting to try to have some early conversation for the things that we've heard back from the community that we're advocating for, where are we able to try and at least have some initial discussion so it is potentially, well, it has the opportunity to go into a budget or be considered because, as I say, being the stuck record, we usually get to have a turn at the tail end and we do a submission. Of course, all the budgets are set and done, and each year we get the standard letter saying, thank you very much, that was very nice, but we have no money. We are all, and I just want to qualify that, very mindful that there isn't money to be doing big projects, but if there's something that we would love to see some of a budget allocated to, particularly around that main street area, how can we work with the right people to be able to at least just put our ideas forward in plenty of time to at least have them considered?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I would say don't wait for the LTP process. I think the best way to, or one of a good avenue would be to try and connect with a relevant staff member. And I'm sure I can help with you with that if you're not quite sure who that may be. I guess, we've obviously got a formal process that we go through as part of the long-term plan to prepare business cases. That tends to happen in about the middle of the year, so sort of June, July-ish. And so that's kind of where we start to make sure that we're preparing business cases to actually make it into the long-term plan. They will then go through a prioritization process, or a process to determine kind of what will actually end up in the draft budget. So it is quite a lengthy process, but I would say trying to make contact with the subject matter expert or the key staff member would be a key point of information or communication.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Oops, wrecked the chair. Right, so has anyone else got anything they had around the long-term plan at this point? No? Okay, thank you so much, Melissa. Really appreciate you giving up your time this evening. So can I please have someone to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receives the report of Melissa Russo, Manager Strategy, titled 2027 to 2037 Long-Term Plan Overview and Community Board Engagement. Jill, someone to second that? Shane, all in favour? Against? Carried. And welcome, Kane. Great that you were able to make it. I hope the parent-teacher interviews went well and you have cruising along with your kiddies. Cool, thanks. Right, so item 10, discretionary grant funding for 2025-26 financial year. This is on pages 95 to 107. I will hand over to Jo because she will no doubt have some things to bring to our attention on this one, and we've got a bit of a discussion ensuing as well. Thanks, Jo.
Thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this report is to agree your approach to discretionary grant funding for the 25-26 year. Just going to point out at the start, apologies in recommendation A, first recommendation in your agenda, it should have been, rather than 24-25, it should be obviously 25-26. So we'll start with that correction. And I thought then, just to make you aware that these criteria were based on the ones that you agreed, that were agreed by the community board last financial year. And I just thought if we work through that table that you have on page 3 of the report, just to look at the criteria that you've got. So the first one relating to only not-for-profit groups, clubs or organisations. There was a staff recommendation there to retain. Do you want to talk about these as we go through, just to check, make sure everyone's happy?
Yep, seeing as Shane, yeah, let's do them as we go. Yep.
No, just a question because I'm new to this. Can you just let me, in terms of the process, how often is this done? So people apply, when is it done, how often, et cetera, just explain the process to me, please.
We've got, you'll see at recommendation C, we have got a staff recommendation in there to hold one funding round for distribution of the discretionary grant funding in the 25-26 year, appreciating that financial year is going to soon end on 30th of June. And really the basis of the staff recommendation to have that one funding round is because the size of the pool of funding that you've got available, but also to enable a competitive process between the people that apply. Because sometimes what would happen in the past is sometimes if you had ad hoc applications and they weren't being judged against, say, 12 or 15 others, they might be more chance of getting funding than someone that went in your main funding round, which was the kind of purpose of having that competitive process for the one funding round. We did used to have 2 funding rounds when the pool was about 49,000, and then the community board used to distribute approximately about 25 each round, but with the reduced pool, it's dropped down to 1.
Okay. So it's been once a year, basically, is it?
Yep.
Yep.
As of
Yep.
last year was the
Last year.
first time we did once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we'd done 2 because we had 50,000, so we had 2 lots of 25.
I mean, you could decide that you want to accept ad hoc applications. If you want, I mean, there isn't too much time left in this financial year, but that might be a factor to consider, because by the time that you consider these, it'll be on the April agenda, right at Debs, and then you've really only got your May and June for the financial year left.
Yeah. Dean?
So I have a question around criteria. The first one we just looked at, the not-for-profit groups, clubs, organisations. I would like to see that an individual can also apply if an individual has a project. That is not a business, but they're an individual trying to do a good project or something for the community, they should be considered.
Thoughts, team? Because we must have used to agreed to that because we used to give Dean money for his projects like lighting up the Christmas tree in the rose gardens.
No, I was an individual. There was a project at Tiburon Live on the Reserve Landscape Committee.
The last time we did it, I don't think it was under the TA Alive banner. But anyway, I won't disagree. You did it.
It was a continuation, but I have had money as an individual for Backstage Pass doing an event. That was a community event. So I had a name, but
But does it open a can of worms? Thoughts, Kane? Got any thoughts?
Are we going through each one of these or?
Yeah.
just doing the top one.
Yes. Sorry.
I've got one further down that I'm quite keen to look at.
I can give my rationale because we've had it in the past where, and I can't remember her name, but it was the wife of one of the kids of the family that owned the Out in the Sticks. When the boys came home and sort of took over, she, as an individual, applied for money for the community board and got it, and ran programs for youth from out there, just as a community type of event, as opposed to a money making.
We have had the odd one. Is there any comments from you, Joe, as to a good reason why not? That we couldn't open it back up?
I was just looking at like it's just a proposed application form, so that can change because it's an operational document, but kind of looking at kind of the light of the questions you ask about the groups, and then obviously you've got an individual, you'd have to be thinking how you would go about kind of doing that comparison when you're weighing up your priorities of what you wanted to fund. Would be something that you would need to be considering when you're doing your evaluation and how that would.
Okay, I've got a suggestion for this round. Seeing as it is so close to the end of the financial year, what about for this particular time we stay with this criteria, but we just do a little bit more homework in time for next year, because we go through this process each time, to make sure, and then we can align everything, because otherwise it's probably going to be quite a major, isn't it? Right now to be.
I would agree with that, Ange,
then
because
that way
it
we could
starts
make
10th of
some-
March,
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So, and then we can just check in with the legal team and make sure that there's no fish hooks that we open up or can of worms that we open up by doing it, because I think we probably need to be quite careful with how we word it for an individual so that we don't have kind of,
I think it'd certainly like be great action to take away, to think about how that might fit into the process, and then do some further thinking on that.
Is everybody, would you be happy with that?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't actually know of anyone. I was just.
No, I don't know of anyone at this point in time either.
We have considered it in the past.
Yep. Okay. Right, Joe, what's next?
So then there was one proposed applications not considered for expenses or events that have already happened. So retrospective, but happy with that.
Yeah.
This next. So we have just proposed slightly amended just to kind of align with effectively the electoral boundaries. That on a map, and apologies, I did not have my microphone on.
Any comments around that one? Are we happy to
Just a
stick
thought
that,
on,
Kate?
just a thought on that one.
Yep.
So if there's a group, just to clarify this, if there's a group in Hamilton that wants to do work in Te Awamutu, as an example, they would be excluded from this, right?
Under that wording, they would, but I mean, it's really kind of up to you. This was a new one introduced last time as to whether you want to retain that one for this financial year. You might want to, this one is specific to having a base in Te Awamutu and Kihikihi, Ward or Kakapuku subdivision. I think we've got the likes of Prongia, that Ward actually has a wording around the fact that groups or organisations that have a base or provide services in the Te Awamutu, they do it, I think, base or services are like in the Prongia Ward area, because they have some of their groups that aren't necessarily have a base in Prongia, but might be based in Te Muru and then are providing the services
So,
out there.
yeah.
So you could play
Probably-
around with that wording.
Probably one for next time if we want to, but it might be open up to everyone, but the service would need to be provided within the area. So we don't want to limit.
I would support that too. If it's for the benefit of the area, doesn't matter where they come from.
Yeah, so we went away from that because we'd been halved our amount of money to give our local community services a decent turn, seeing as it was such a small amount of money, because we had previously had a lot of external organisations at least saying they were going to provide services here.
I think that
So,
what I
yeah,
would exclude
but
is
that was just
what I
our
would exclude
rationale.
is like a national body doing national funding. I'd rather them say specifically we're targeting Te Awamutu, we're going to, with the $2,000 you're going to give us, we're going to add in another 7 or something, and then we're going to do this project or something. That's all I'm trying to. Well, I don't know. I don't think we change it for this time. It's just a thought for next time.
Oh, sorry, Dean, sorry.
I was just going to say, we could just change the word slightly to say that that groups, clubs, organisations, blah, 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 would be given priority. That way, if we did get a great application for something that was going to benefit us entirely.
And that covers both bases with a slight word change. That's quite good.
We can take it, but we can use
Yeah.
that to also exclude them if we're under pressure money-wise.
That's not a bad idea. What does everybody else think of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just in terms of where we have ones where we are really definitive like that like it's currently drafted, and so those people that don't have the base in Te Muru and Kihikihi or Kakapuku subdivision, so they wouldn't appear in your agenda pack because we would be filtering them out and saying you're not eligible. So if we change it to the discretion, so just flagging that they will then all the other ones will be in your agenda, and you'll decide on the
Yeah, so we will go back to getting all of the New Zealand like Asthma Society and epilepsy and et cetera, that we were getting previously.
True, but you do, they're vetted on other criteria as well, aren't they? Like where the services will be delivered by the time we get them, so they could fail on some of those along the way. Is that not correct?
We only, in terms of our vetting that we do as staff for your agenda, it's really about those kind of hard and fast criteria that you set there. So everything else that is a may or they'll appear in your agenda because that's your judgment call as to whether you would like to fund them. So our kind of role is really only kind of filtering out those ones. So, for example, if it's, no one over 2,000 and, the ones that are 3,000, we're saying, well, sorry, you're not eligible. So we just filter out those ones where you've got hard and fast, really clear criteria.
I should have read the application form.
So
because I was trying to remember how we used to do it, and I thought in there it's fairly clear they have to be delivering, the deliverables have to come into our wards.
Yeah, they definitely do. And I mean, that is all part of it. However, some of the big ones, they are saying that they will deliver X, Y, Z to our community. And we, at the end of the day, still have the discretion to say, look, no, we're not going to support a big one. But it does add quite a large number, like I can't remember, have you got the figures of what we did last time? But by not having those New Zealand ones, it cut it down hugely. And the reading and the amount of material that we got, it certainly dropped it down from 30 something applications to, did we have 16 or 17? It basically halved it by having just the local ones.
And I think, I suppose, one of the intents when you did that, because you had that smaller pool of money, not only was to kind of, limit down your numbers, but to also send that really clear message to the applicants to know who, so that the applicants weren't also kind of wasting their time, really kind of focusing who you wanted to target your grants to, and being really clear with that. So that was kind of the thinking last financial year, but it's really over to you this year.
I wonder if we just need to leave it as is at the moment, but
Yeah.
note it to come back
Yeah,
to
I
the
have.
next time. Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I would do. But
So before you got 49 last.
Yeah,
year,
so
69.
Debs has just got the stats. So yeah, we had 49 in the 23-24 year. And then when we reduced down the number, the criteria, sorry, we dropped down to 16. So we had 16 of our local organisations asking for money. And remember at 25, that if we gave everybody 2,000, they're not all even going to get money. So, yeah, if we start going out again with 25,000, if we're trying to divvy everybody. But anyway, we've agreed that we'll move on. So let's park that, but we've noted it. Right, next one, Joe.
Was a maximum level of funding of 2,000 per application.
Comments, Shane?
I think 2,000's too little. I'd rather, and I think we've got to be really strategic when we're making these decisions. I'd rather give one organisation 25 than 20 organisations a little bit of money. If that one application is giving us great benefits.
Well, I can't say in the 12 years I've seen one that good, but anyway, Liam.
Yeah, I was going to say as well that it could be higher. I suppose when we talk about 16 applications last time, if that suddenly dropped down to 12 and it was 2,000 each, then we wouldn't allocate all the funds, and we can also exercise a bit of discretion. So we might deny some of the 16, for example. So I'd also support it being higher.
Just a quick bit of background for the new people. We do have that ability, and we don't give everybody $2,000 for one. And the other thing that I just thought of fell out of my head. So has anyone else got a comment while it comes back to me?
Yeah, I agree with Shane. I think we need to be strategic, and if we make it hard and cut $2,000, we might end up having something that was really valuable that couldn't happen because we couldn't give them more money. So I think we should have that ability. And of course, some of the applications we can give them nothing if we don't think it's worth it. It's not like we have to give everyone a bit and carve it up. We need to work out who gets some and who doesn't get others, which is in a way why I don't mind the fact that they might come from out of the area, because you can quickly read through and just decide that we're not going to give them anything. You don't have to read anything else. But anyway, that's my thoughts.
I did just think of the other thing I wanted to mention, and that's we normally hold back some money for us as well. So we don't actually have $25,000 necessarily to give, but in saying that, we're currently sitting on about 36 in total at this point in time.
I was going to ask a question about that.
Oh, hold on, Dean, sorry.
I had a question about that. If the funding had gone down for previous years, and we got the number of applications down, how was it that we still had a considerable amount of money left over from previous years?
Because we had money come back to us that hadn't been spent. So there was a great big one from a historical one that probably you were on the board when it was given out for a po out at Lake Naroto. That organisation actually has since dissolved before they ended up using the money, and the $7,000 that was sitting there would only build one side of it now. Yeah, because just I think one po is 15.
But
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm not saying, I'm
No,
just
no.
pointing out that it was
Yeah,
that long ago. You possibly were on the board at the time because it was
Okay.
pre me.
So it's not.
It
that
was
you didn't
already there when I
it's
started.
Not that you didn't allocate your allocation, it's just these are unspent amounts that come back.
Yeah, so we did have $2,000 that we'd set aside for some community board projects that we didn't use. And as I say, we had a big one come back with that $7,000. And then there was another $1,000 or $1,500 one from another organisation. So that certainly has bumped us up a little bit at this point.
I guess if the round opens on the 10th of March, we need to decide at our next meeting how much we will keep aside for ourselves as well, if we've got any projects, and how much we will spend. I can appreciate Shane saying, you know, if someone asked for 25,000, we gave them 25,000, and that might sound good, but in my 6 years of giving out money each year, I don't agree with that, because there are local groups who we give to each year. There's some we don't, because we think, well, they've been getting it every year, but some who really rely on a bit of community funding and for different things in their organisation, a small organisation, and the only funding they can get is local funding, because you can't apply for national funding if you're not, incorporated and things like that. So I guess it's when the applications come in, but I think you do need to set an amount on it, even though last year we've quite often got people asking for $2,000, but we've also, even when we've said it's $2,000, people still try to get 5,000 out of it. So they'll still give it a go, and it might be worthwhile. And one of the reasons we stopped the national groups is because we would read through their paperwork, which could be 20 pages for one application, and it's telling you about all the funding they've got and a huge amount that they hold in their national office. They might have 700,000 in their national office and still want 2,000 from us, and we think, gosh, they could have been getting it from there, whereas our local community groups are really struggling. Yeah.
John?
I'd just like to back Jill on what she just said.
Cool. From my perspective, I'm not opposed to putting it up a bit, but I would still like to see that we have, maybe not as low as 2, but I wouldn't like to open it right up, because we do get ones that are wanting $10,000 to paint the hall, and like I say, in my years of experience, I haven't seen anything come through that that I would have wanted to give them virtually all our money. I support Jill too, because it's nice. I think the discretionary fund, there's a lot of people that do a lot of mahi on the sniff of an oily rag as volunteers, and they make that small amount of money go a long way. So I'm also in that camp too. But Kane, you had something you want to say?
Does Shane have an amount, that compromise amount, maybe $5,000 or something?
And, my comment about one organisation, 25,000, was just to make a point, right?
I know.
And the other thing is why it should be increased, because people would then think small too. We want people to think big and get excited and do some great things. And $2,000 nowadays, you can't do bugger all. So, I'm quite keen to push it up if we can.
So what would be your suggestion?
And I think 5,000 was mentioned over here.
I was going to think of 5 too. What does everyone think of 5? That we have a maximum amount of 5? Where are we sitting there? Are we happy to say maximum of 5? I mean, it doesn't mean we have to give them 5, but it's just that we've got it if we want it. Yeah. Liam? John? Okay. All right. So we'll make a note to change that up to 5. Righto, Joe, hand it over to you again.
Thank you. Next one was applications won't be considered from lobby groups or action pressure groups for personal commercial gain or for professional sports. That was added to clearly specify the activities that fall within the scope of a local community or welfare service. So that was added for clarity. And then the next one we had there was failure to return an accountability form may jeopardise future funding. your organisation applies for. So the way that was written with the May, that means what happens when you get your agenda is you'll still get applications from people that haven't submitted their accountability form, but you'll have a table in the agenda which will have a tick box, which you can easily see which ones have and hadn't, and then you can just use that as a basis, as one of the factors in your decision making.
Any comments on those last two? Liam, we'll start with you.
Just on the last one, so as an accountability form, like what they use the funding for.
Yep, so we asked them to, what are the questions on that, Debs?
So they have to provide proof that, so whether it's invoices or something, they need to provide proof. They also need to provide proof of how they thanked that or acknowledged the community board in their project. So yeah.
Okay, I suppose from my perspective, like as a new member, I would have thought that was a precondition of getting the funding. I would have thought that if you got the funding, you would have to do that anyway. Otherwise, you'd have to pay it back or similar. It might not be for this round, but if we were going to open it up to individuals, like maybe we do next time, maybe that's where you bring that in, and it's a precondition as well. So yeah,
I'd be happy to do that too. Dean?
I was just interested as why it's may and not will jeopardise.
Oh, the reason that we went to the May was because there were a couple of cases where there'd just been a bit of a miscommunication in getting the accountability back to us because of, like a small organisation, somebody had changed. And so when we contacted them, they went, oh, whoops, and they did then provide the information. So it was just to give us that little bit of discretion to use it in that way. But we have declined people for not providing them before. But we could toughen up on it and go, right, you don't provide it, we're not giving it. So thoughts? Do you want to take out the May? Because we can.
I would have been one of the slow responders.
Yeah, well, don't have it.
And Jo got on my back because she said, if you want more money, make sure you get your stuff in.
Yeah.
So you've got to do it. I'd say you have to do it, even if you are late. So we want to see it before we gave them more money, that's all. So I'd say, well.
Yeah, okay. Does everyone want to change it to will? No objections, Liam?
Well, the word jeopardise is still quite objective. So I would say it should be will provide one before you apply next time. Like if you apply next time and you haven't provided an accountability form from last time, then you shouldn't be accepted. Well, you should be given an opportunity to provide it, but.
Okay, thanks, Liam. Kane?
I think we're not saying we're not going to get it. I just wonder if it's a bit punitive for some of these smaller organisations that they're just running on an oily rag. I don't know. I'd rather leave it open. We couldn't still always say no, right?
Yeah, we can. Okay, thoughts?
A bit tricky I think, definitely they need to provide it, but for committees that have changed during the year and, they didn't know that the last lot of people didn't do it, so bit of a trick. Although maybe it says on the form that, that by the end of, if they're given the money once a year and that it's been different times each year, but if they're given it in say May, by September they have to provide it, within 3 months or something. They have to provide it. No, it was just
no,
said.
there's not. It's just prior to them applying again. So we could actually, that's not a silly idea. What do we think of that? That the accountability has to be provided within. Well, you could still make it the 12 months though, but to use the money. That's right. Yeah. I was just thinking that when I.
Timing.
Yeah.
Last grant people.
Because we've got Shane.
So did that mean if someone just applied once and they had no intention of applying again, they never had to show accountability? I think they should show accountability, and it shouldn't be tied up to the next event.
That's what I was thinking, and as part of our accountability of giving out effectively ratepayers' money, I think that it does need to be part of the criteria that they do need to do it. Yeah, and Debs does follow up on it and makes sure that they do it.
There's the issue around timing that it might be that they haven't spent the money, but then they're applying again and they're still within the year.
Well, and the thing is, if they haven't spent it within the year, they've got to give it back, because we changed that because of that Rangi o Awhia trust, because it went on and on and on.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that relies on us being the same time every year. And the other thing being that,
No, because it ties in with the financial year.
yeah, but if we're doing applications now, someone who got some money from last year's round, still their project might be still ongoing, they haven't spent it all because it's not.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Since they got it.
Yeah.
So we're back at May.
Yes, please, explain. Thank you, Deb.
Sorry, just through the chair. For the accountability forms, so before the last financial year, we are chasing those ones up if they haven't given them, but they have the financial year to do it and then spend the money, get the accountability form back to us. So just if you changed it to that the form will, that you won't take applications if they haven't done an accountability form, you won't see the application. So that they won't meet the criteria, so you won't see them. So just for your wording of that bit, because anything that doesn't meet the criteria doesn't go into your agenda. We fish them out.
I just don't really think it should be in this criteria. I think that they should be returning the form anyway. I don't think it should matter for next time, because like I think it was Shane or Dean said, if they only apply once and then don't apply again, but they don't return this form, then there's kind of no punishment. So and I think Ange also mentioned about how we're using ratepayers' money to do this. So I think these accountability forms should be completed as a precondition rather than a criteria for next time. Don't know how practical that is, but yeah.
So if we can just tweak it to make it fit with that it is, like it's not about that it might jeopardise future funding, it's just part of what they need to do to be able to have the money, but it's a.
So not in your criteria, but maybe making it clear on the application form, or do you want it to sort of clear what you're after?
I suppose the good thing about putting it in as not doing it, it does make it encouraging, because if they want it, if they are wanting more money, but like what Liam says, it's just about that it does need to be part of it, that it is like one of our conditions that you need to complete it. I don't know how we get the money back if they've spent it and they still don't do it. What happens then? I've kind of got stuck on this now.
Yeah, maybe we can't get the money back. So maybe there's no ability, if they don't return one, maybe we have no ability to do anything about it.
No. So maybe that is our only option, is to say that if you don't do it, you might not get more money next time, because at least that is an incentive to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't want to take them from people that hadn't submitted, draft criteria could be funding applications will not be considered if accountability forms which have become due from previous years have not been submitted. Just if you want something that takes a kind of different stance from what you've got. And
yeah, that works. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Liam? Yep.
It's backward looking at previous years. There could be something about giving them notice. So if they've just forgotten or they haven't got around to it, yeah, I'd support something like that.
Let's do that, Jo.
Yeah, and we could certainly, if something comes in and they haven't done it and that's a recurring one, certainly chase them to say, do you, in order for this to be a valid application, you're going to have to make sure that you submit your accountability form as soon as possible.
Yep, that sounds good. Okay, righto, onwards and upwards.
Right. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Joe, can I just ask you, and I have asked this other years, so if the rounding is starting on the 10th of March and we need to let people know that it closes in April, that is, I know it's on the council webpage. Is it also going to be in the newspaper?
We're hoping that it will appear in one of the council pages, yes.
And the council pages?
You know, like that new page that they're doing.
And the actual physical newspaper?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're hoping we'll be talking to our comms team about where we can get that in the paper.
Okay, that's great, thank
And
you.
we'll also be contacting people because Debs has had a number of people that have been contacting her to see when the round is opening. So we'll be getting in touch with those people.
Okay, thank you.
So just in terms of in the report, there was just a couple of other criteria that, that were there if you wanted to consider them, which were not funding operational expenses or eligibility of applicants that have already received council funds in the financial year. So that was just another couple of criteria to consider if you wanted to think about any additional ones.
So operating costs, you mean like we've had people ask for a new printer for their?
No, that's capital.
Yeah,
No,
oh, okay.
operation will be like paying for your admin services or that type of thing.
Right.
Paying your power, paying the lease. Like what the what's his name shop always asks us for, or the guides. So, any thoughts on those? I'm quite keen to leave including operational expense, and then that's our discretion. And the other applicants that have already received council funds, well, generally they're for other things, like if someone had, just for example, had applied to the arts grant, well, then it's going to be a different thing that they're applying for. So personally, I don't have a problem with people coming to us if they have, but what's everyone else?
Tell us in the application.
Yeah, pretty sure they do. It says, have you got anything from the council in the application?
Another question, do they tell us what they got it for? So if it's the same type of thing or if it's different?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, what's next, Joe?
Shall I put this on the
Yeah, please.
screen?
I had something here that I wanted to ask about.
Hasn't got any ever since 2001.
We have actually. There's a few things that have tightened up a lot compared to what it was. Oh, yeah. I had a quick question, and I'm not quite sure how, I'm sorry, because I haven't come up with a solution, but at various times we have cases where the organisation hasn't quite provided us with enough information or specific enough information for us to be able to fully answer or be able to give a definitive answer, or in some cases where we've declined the application. So a really good example of this was a few years back, Food Bank had asked for funds to buy hygiene products. Now this at the time was declined because the members wrongly thought that they had already received money from MSD. However, what they didn't know was that the money that had been given to the food banks or food bank from MSD was only for food. It didn't actually cover any hygiene products. However, they hadn't specifically written that in their application. So some board members had some wrong information where they made an assumption. And then when I, at a later date, said, oh, this happened, they said, well, they should have told us about it. However, how can we draw that information out from them by possibly asking a slightly better question.
That's their job to provide all the information. So
Yeah, but it wasn't something that I think had occurred to them.
Yeah, but Ange, you can't second
Answer
guess
everything.
every application
no,
and try to get
absolutely.
more. So you just deal with what's in front of you, and
Yeah, I just wondered if anyone had any simple way of rewording something that was worth raising, because it has happened that's just the one I remember, but it has happened a few times where people have got tripped up because they haven't actually given enough information. Just while Joe was doing that. Okay, all good. Oh, and can we also emphasise that in the info, we only want the balance sheet, P&O, and something else, not their whole plethora of financial information and 50 million bank statements? Because it's on that checklist, I know, but I'm just wondering if we can say not your full financials, because there was some that still did. Oh,
Certainly, I think we can add that additional wording
just
in,
a little
to be really clear.
if that's all right. It was only a little thing. There we go. Okay, righto. All right, guys, have a little read. How's this looking? So applications will not be considered for expenses or events that have already happened, which is retrospective. We've got funding applications will not be considered if accountability forms which have become due from previous years have not, oh, hang on, it goes further up.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Okay, so going from the top, that we received the report, that's fine. So the criteria that we agree, only not-for-profit groups, clubs or organisations can apply for funding and must be providing a local community or welfare service for the benefit of the wider Waipa community. That is not a private club or business. That applications will not be considered for expense or events that have already happened, which obviously is retrospective. That we change the third one to say funding applications will not be considered if accountability forms which have become due from previous years have not been submitted. For only groups, clubs, organisations that have a base in Te Awamutu and Kihikihi ward or Kakapuku subdivision can apply in the area covered by the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board. 5, that the maximum level of funding that can be applied for is 5,000 excluding GST. 6, that applications will not be considered from lobby groups or action pressure groups for personal or commercial gain or for professional sports. And what did that other bit say? And pardon? We've lost the and.
And agrees to.
Oh, sorry. C, agrees to hold one funding round for distribution of discretionary grant funding in the 25-26 financial year. So we all happy with that? Yep. Okay. Right. Can I please have someone to move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board A, receives the report of Joe Greed, Manager, Governance, titled Discretionary Grant Funding 2025-2026 financial year, and B, agrees to the criteria that I just read from the board to determine applications for discretionary grant funding. Kane, thank you. Second, Dean, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Super duper. Thanks, guys. That was a good discussion around that. It is quite an important part of what we do. Okay, we're going to go back to Joe in regard to our Community Board Executive Committee vote for Zone 2, being item 11 on pages 108 to 115.
Thank you. So the purposes of this report is for you to consider the election of a Zone 2 representative for the New Zealand Community Board's Executive Committee, and you have the biographies there listed in Appendix 1 and a recommendation in your report there for you to select one of those representatives should you wish to exercise your vote.
Okay, where are we leaning, I suppose? Dean?
I think I said when we did a little email around that I was leaning, well, I would like to vote for the number 2, the Diane. He's got experience in the Wahia Community Board. Close to us, we probably should have a way of having good contact if we want to lobby. So that was my thinking on that one. The number 1 application looked quite good, and the number 3 application didn't say anything.
No, we now have a little blurb for Vinoop Xavier from Taniatua. Any other comments, Shane?
I disagree with my learned friend, Councillor Taylor. I personally, but I'm not going to die on the water over this one. I prefer Stephanie Boner. One, she's the chair, but I also liked what she had written in her blurb. But maybe we'll end up having a vote on it or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just support what Shane was saying. I think I put in the emails as well that I think I preferred Stephanie over Diane. I think being a chair is actually a quite important part of it. That's just what I picked up, and also I think she, just from reading this, I think she brings through quite a few things that I think we need on that board.
I would like to vote for Diane.
Any rationale behind that?
Sorry, I actually talked to Dale Marie a little bit about her and asked her a few questions, which persuaded me that that was the right thing to do. Yeah.
Liam, do you have any preference?
I thought Stephanie sounded good, so she would have my vote.
Yeah. John?
I'll go with Stephanie too.
Okay, well, it looks like that's quite clear. I'd actually gone the other way because of the local connection and having that link with Dale Marie, but I don't actually have enough. I don't mind. The lady that was from over there last time did, Caroline, she did an awesome job and got back to us and stuff. So let's hope that they're of the same vein. So we've got Kane that said Stephanie, Shane, Liam, John. So it's looking pretty much like.
I mean, to be fair, it's pretty difficult, isn't it? I mean, we don't know the people, we can't talk to them, etc., etc. We can only go on what's on that piece of paper. So
yeah, exactly.
It's tough. I could go either way, but if I had to choose one, then
I could too. So I tried to find out a bit more information about Stephanie, and I couldn't actually find anything about her. So that was part of why I leaned back towards Diane and just that local connection. But no, that's where we're going. So is everybody happy with Stephanie? Yep, okay. Pardon? No, I'll just go. Let's just move that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board A receives the report of Joe Greed, Manager of Governance, titled Community Board Executive Committee, vote for Zone 2, and B, we agree to vote for Stephanie Bonner as the Zone 2 representative for Community Board Exec. There's someone to move that? John, second. Liam, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Cool. And I mean, we do need to also be aware that others might vote the other way, so it could be any of them anyway. So that's, and I will get that filled out and sent off ASAP because it's due in by the 27th, isn't it? I think. Just double check that. Pretty sure it was the 27th. Can't find the form, but anyway, it's due very soon. Okay, item 12, the Treasury report for the period ended 31st of January 2026. We've got, that's on pages 116 to 118. We'll definitely take that as read. Are there any questions that hopefully Joe can answer in Nada's absence?
Girl Guides, is that $600 a return of uncommitted? Is it?
Yeah, it's return discretionary funding that they couldn't spend for the purpose that they had been granted it for.
Battery, project battery, has that been entirely moved over now to Pack and Save? So
Yeah.
we won't receive any further costs for that, is that correct?
So what's
That's my
happening with the rest of
understanding.
the
That's
money?
the understanding we have from Lou, that he's got Pack and Save doing the job for us.
Well, urban miners have taken over looking after it.
The waste minimisation fund, and that, yeah, so that's why, in your, treasury report there, the balance for that is all at zero, because all of the money has been paid out to that. So there's no outstanding money for Project Battery, that's all moved over now to the urban miners.
No, that's fine. I was just thinking in the future, will we receive any, will they be required?
No, that, you passed a resolution, last year to pay the last of that one.
It's not directly to the Treasury report, but just because we weren't here for Project Battery, is it not now a project of the community board?
No, we've handed it over to urban miners. So we instigated it, got it going, looked after it, and then as part of getting things up and going and then stepping back from it, we've left it in the capable hands of the urban miners, so they're looking after it.
Why I ask is because the containers for collection and Pack and Save have all got on, and this is a project of the Kihikihi community board.
Yeah, we have. So when they're ready, I suppose they'll change it to urban miners. But it still was a project of ours. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a biggie. Yeah. I did have a quick question around, have Rotary sent you any bills for Christmas?
For the Christmas parade?
Yeah.
Gathering? Yep, so they have, and so the money
Oh, the
was.
whole lot went out, sorry.
The money was paid to them. I think off the top of my head, $42.60 or something is being returned of money that they didn't spend.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, Te Awamutu entrance sign, is that, I thought we'd had some costs against that.
Yeah, Jill, did we have any costs or did we end up doing it all for nothing, I think? Oh, no, there was the bill from the what's his name?
Yeah, so we should have had the person who cleaned it.
Cleaned it. How much did we give to start with? Can you remember?
I think
Committed
it was
it.
$1,500 that was committed to that, and then we had a bill for $300.
Ah, that's, yeah, something. Yeah, it
and
was.
that's why it's a strange
Okay,
number.
sweet.
So that there is outstanding on that resolution. Yeah.
I know John did spend some money and was going to put an expense claim in. It's probably disappeared. You did too? Okay, so that's fine.
Okay, so that might be the other part of
So-
what it's a funky amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
cool.
think,
I don't think there's anything else we need to spend
well,
on it for now.
the steel never got cleaned though, did it? So,
No, but I'll go back to Cubic again because it was
okay.
just they
Yeah.
were super busy. So
Yeah.
and they were going to do that for nothing. So I don't think there's anything else
so
to
really
do to
that
it.
money can go back into our funds again,
Yeah.
can't it? Yeah. It can go towards the shares project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we can just put it back next time.
Yep, well, what we can do is go back and see what the wording of the resolution and see if you just agree to
Pretty sure
return it to uncommitted
Yeah,
when you'd spent, or whether we need a resolution to return it, but we can do
Actually,
one
I
of those
think we
other.
did have it that up to, I'm pretty sure we did do an up to, we did a up to X amount of money with it, whatever was unspent. I think we did do that, but check, please. Thank you. Okay, are there any other questions around the Treasury report? Otherwise, Kane?
Yes, just coming into this discretionary funds, I mean, we've got $2,000 there for future projects. Are we going to have a chat about plans for that? So we keep aside what we want to, obviously we need to do that right before our fund around.
Yeah, we definitely are going to need to try and work that out. with what we want to do over the next little bit, or else what we could do, just to think about that, because we haven't got long till the end of this year, that we go, okay, we've just got that much there. If we do have something that comes up between now and June, and then we revisit it in the new financial year and reset it. Yeah, at the moment, yeah, that we've allowed, yeah.
The funding for this year, right? So that's a 36,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, we've got, yeah, so there's 36 sitting there, 2 of which we've got our dibs on. That's sitting in the pot.
And also if we get the money back from the entrance sign, that's another 3,500. It's
No,
only 3.
1,100, what is it? 1178.
Oh, okay, another
Yeah.
one, yeah.
Yeah. So, because our next meeting, when were we going to decide whether we're going to have a special meeting? Were we doing that today?
We could look at diaries after the meeting, because
Okay.
we've got a delegation that we can change or add meetings to the schedule in consultation.
Outside of.
Yeah,
Cool.
and
Yep,
it's
that's right.
the CE's decision in consultation with the chair, so we
Yep.
can get your
Okay, cool.
diaries together after the meeting, pull them out
Okay.
and agree a date.
Yep, no, that's all right. And in regard to us putting money aside to be used by the community board, though, that would need to be approved, right? As a
I would
resolution.
suggest that having a think about that over the coming weeks, and if there is more funding that you would like to putting aside, then we get something on your March agenda.
But that's going to be, okay, yep. I'm just thinking about when the discretionary funding happens.
Madam Chair, that might become a little bit more clearer once we all agree on what our strategy is.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Same. Okay, all right. Either turned it off and then started talking. Let's try that again, that the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board receives a report of Ngāra Milne Financial Accountant titled Treasury Report for the period ended 31st of January 2026. So we have someone to move that. Liam, Kane, all in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Righto. Item 13. Board members' reports from meetings attended on behalf of the Te Awamutu and Kihikihi Community Board. So, John.
Urban Minded again. I will not be there this week.
I haven't attended anything on behalf of the community board.
Since the 9th of December, I went to the Christmas Kihikihi Resident Ratepayers Association final meeting of the year, and they had a potluck dinner. And somehow I'm not very good at saying no, and I'm now their secretary. So Rory, I knew what he was talking about tonight and support him with those different things. Thank you.
Shane or Dean, have you got anything from council at this point to bring to the table?
Yep, so yes, we want to involve the community board because it's already on one of our list of an item from a list of priorities. So Shane and I had a chat with Gina specifically because it was about the rose gardens and because it was on our list, but also because I was attending the meeting of the Rose Trust Society, which I used to chair, and we're wrapping up our finances and various things, and there'd been a proposal from some of the new trustees that they might close the trust. So I wanted to get a bit of a steer on a direction we could take, because we had a project to use some of the money that we have in trust to try and start a design and then get other groups interested in doing something with the gardens and trying to zhuzh them up a bit. So the outcome of that meeting was that the trust has decided not to disband. It's got a new chair and members. So it's the Te Miru Rose Society Trust. They a bit of background. They've got money in trust that they earned way back when the Rose Gardens were quite new. They co-hosted a World Rose Convention with the Hamilton Rose Society, which was turned out to be very profitable. And then a bunch of the people who were on the Te Miru Rose Society, who were clever with money, invested it carefully during the boom times of the 80s and then got it all out before the crash and invested it. So they've got a considerable amount of money, which if they had shut down the trust would have just gone to the Rose Society or to charitable organisations around town. But anyway, they've kept it, and I talked about the idea that, and I apologise because I'm probably a little bit out of turn, but I talked about the idea that we were hoping the community board might get involved in, and I'm going to read out what is going to in their minutes that I sent to them, and hopefully this talks about everything that we'd agreed to in our group. So the project that myself and fellow councillor Shane and with help from Gina trying to get established with the Waipa Council via the community board is to organise a joint venture arrangement to create an improved design for Te Miru Rose Garden with the specific goals to improve the layout, increase the types and variety of roses, new fencing and entrance, new viewing tower, new signage, more lighting, security, and to completely revamp the fountain as the centrepiece. So we envisaged that the Rose Society and the Rose Society Trust would be involved in the consultation process, and that the trust would offer an agreed amount of money to complete a design and visuals to present to council and to the public to try and get people interested and excited about it. And that design would pave way for sponsors, benefactors, iwis and businesses to come on board and for work to be undertaken either in whole or in stages as funds became available from a variety of sources. So we're not asking it for council to do everything. The joint venture would likely involve the District Council, Te Miru Kihikihi Community Board, the Te Miru Rose Society and the Te Miru Rose Society Trust. Keep Te Miru beautiful. We're looking forward here to when that's up and running. Eugene Kara, who's head of the New Zealand Maori Arts and Crafts Institute. So he was as probably most of you know, was highly involved in the work that went over on the Roach Street building redevelopment. Whānau of the designer of the fountain, who's the late Fred Graham, the artist. One of the first, probably his first public piece of art in Te Awamutu, because that was put in by the Beautifying Society back in the 70s. Iwi, Te Miru businesses and other sponsors and benefactors. So that's going in their minutes, and that's what we've had talked about. So now we're hoping the community board's really excited about that and wants to make do something with that as well.
Did it again. Cool. That sounds like you've been pretty busy. So we can put it in a report for next time to have a formal discussion around that. Thank you. Kane. Okay, so back to me. So I've had an initial meeting and a couple of phone calls with me and Mike. So that's, and we've got a quarterly catch up with him through the year, and those are all already booked in. So that's a really neat start and great to have Mike here. One of the things that he did mention was around, he's quite keen to see some Main Street zhuzhing because I'm going to put him on the spot a little bit. No, he did agree with us that it's looking somewhat tired. So he is his voice that he'd be keen to help support us in that space. So that's pretty cool. because as Paula did point out, it's been 5 years since we first initiated this and we hadn't got very far. So that would be really neat. I touched base with Deputy Mayor Joe in regard to the houselessness and sort of gave her just a very rough idea from my perspective as a social service organisation around some of the, just a little, it was very brief, but around the background of that problem. I attended the Oceania Games at the Velodrome and got an update on the the New Zealand Sport Hall of Fame. That's looking super exciting, and what they've got proposed over there, utilising the existing building rather than adding on to it, and using their mezzanine floor with lots of interactive things for people to be able to participate in, both on the mezzanine and down in the middle. It looks very exciting, and they have a very, what's the right word, ambitious timeline. So I believe it's sort of all kicking off pretty soon. And so they've got a lot of work to do transferring the Sport Hall of Fame gear from Dunedin up to Cambridge, and it'll have a change of name from the Velodrome to be, I just can't remember exactly what they called it, but basically an event space as opposed to being the Velodrome. Like John, I was at Urban Miners. We had a really good turnout for the first collection, and we're back at it again on Sunday. So if anyone's got any waste, don't forget to bring it along. Or if you'd like to get involved, we're always looking for people to help. I also briefly attended the Volunteering Waikato event. The team at Volunteering Waikato have come across to try and help address the issues of organisations being very siloed. So they had some discussion around just ways of addressing that. I think one of the biggest problems is that a lot of the service organisations are just so busy that we run out of time to actually get together and talk to people about how we can come together. But that's going to continue. So I look forward to actually being able to attend a whole one of those instead of just part of it. And Jill very kindly is going to attend the citizens ceremony on my behalf in March. But if anyone else is interested in going, I'm sure that you'd be very welcome. So if you would like to go along, the next one is going to be here in Te Awamutu at the Presbyterian Church. So if you do want to go, let me know, and I will let the right people know that you would like to go along and welcome our new citizens into the district. So that's me for the meantime.
Sorry, Andrew, I obviously was here for the first part of the meeting, but I'm not sure whether you discussed the weather event that happened out at Kihikihi and beyond. Did you talk about that at all?
No.
Yeah, so I was.
Sorry, the weather. Sorry,
Yeah,
yes,
sorry,
Mike.
yes.
Yeah.
Mike did
Sorry,
cover that,
just the
right?
Kihikihi part. Yeah, I forgot that you guys got shut in.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Just wanted to make sure
yeah.
that people are aware.
Yeah. No, sorry. Thanks, Kirsty. Okay. Oh, Shane.
I just want to acknowledge Julie and Gina for being here, and I'm very excited about the fact that they're here and they will be focused on assisting the community boards in the future. What that looks like has not yet been decided, but I think that's a great step forward in terms of what the community board can achieve and having a link back into the council. So thank you, you two, for being here, and thanks for the good work that you're doing. And I look forward to seeing what this structure could look like. But thank you.
Thanks, Shane. And yeah, I'd like to talk all that, because I actually have also caught up with Julie and Gina a couple of times, and we've had some really good sessions, and I'm really excited about the possibilities that we're looking at and being able to work together and support each other with our mahi over the next next 3 years. So, yeah, thank you for being so welcoming and yeah, very excited about where we're looking. So thanks, guys, and lovely to have you here tonight. Right, so if we've got nothing further, the date of our next meeting will be Tuesday, the 24th of March at 6 p.m. And so before we close the meeting, I will find our whakamutanga. So we will have a closing karakia. Puratia te rangimarie, puratia te aroha, puratia te nākau pai, puratia nā wawata, kia kore e naro, haumie, huie, taikie. And the translation is hold fast to peace, hold fast to love, hold fast to sincerity, hold fast to our hopes. May these things never be lost. Joined in unity, it is done. So we'll close the meeting at 8:31.